Okay, we are back. The Angry Hacks podcast coming back at you on a Monday after football week 12. It's been a while, boys. We call it the holiday hiatus as we haven't been on the pod in a couple weeks, but we are back with Michael Hall. How you doing tonight, Mike?
So.
Rough loss last night. We'll get to that. David's with us as well. David, what's going on, brother?
How's it going? Doing pretty well.
All right. It's good. Stan the man's off tonight. He's got some things going on, but he might pop in for a hot take, as he likes to put it.
Well, I hope he pops in.
I would love him to pop in, but the show must go on, boys. The show must go on.
Always.
So week 12, we haven't been around in a while. We had a little time off, a little time to think about things, but this football season's moving quite quick. Dave, let's talk Giants a little bit. Let's start off the program, Mike, as we like to say.
It's a good program.
Yeah. We'll start off with the Giants, and I mean, I know it's pretty much the same shit. After a weird, crazy win against the Chiefs, who we'll get to them, are just they're taking a nosedive. But this team's 2-9 after a win against the Chiefs in overtime. On Thanksgiving, they lose to the Redskins, and it was a competitive game pretty much most of the game, and then they just fall flat like they usually do. It's just Dave, I don't know, man. It's just really difficult to watch this team. I know you didn't watch on Thanksgiving, but is it me or is this team just really difficult to sit and watch the full game? Because I did it.
Yeah, and the last full game, I watched most of the Chiefs game, but I actually watched that whole game with that Rams disaster, and I honestly don't even know how I watched it. But it was so terrible that I thought the same exact thing. It's just been a tough year. That's really all you can really say right now. The offense is just putrid. I mean, they're trying, but they can't get anything going. The defense has finally come back the last few weeks, so it's nice to see that they're actually playing hard again. So at least you know that we actually still have a good defense. So that's something a little positive to go on. But it really is difficult to watch. It's been one of the worst seasons. I can't honestly in my whole life probably watching the Giants since probably the early 90s. I think actually the first season I ever watched was like when I was like 6 years old, watching them beat Buffalo in the Super Bowl. But this might be one of the worst seasons I've watched ever in my life.
It really is, man. And I mentioned that early on, how this is probably the worst team I've ever seen. And I keep going back to the fact that it's because of the expectations that this team had. After a really good 11-5 season yesterday, defense, top 5 defense in the league, offense not so great, but it didn't really matter. They managed the game, and they won 11 games.
Well, you still had Odell. You had Odell Beckham performing at a high level. So when you needed a big play, you had somebody to go to. He got hurt. Brandon Marshall did nothing even before he got hurt. So he wasn't much of a factor to begin with. But we don't have that playmaker. We don't have it. I'm actually looking at like their roster right now. I mean, our receivers are, Tavares King, Roger Lewis. I mean, Rhett Ellison is our tight end. I mean, I'm looking at the stats actually from the Redskin game. I mean, Tavares King led the team with 2 receptions for 36 yards.
Yeah.
Against a Redskins defense, which is not bad, but come on. I mean, Roger Lewis, 3 for 26. Evan Engram, 3 for 18 with drop balls. From what I heard, he dropped a few key passes in that game, so I heard he got kind of reamed out for that one. And then our running game, Gallman 9 for 37, Darkwa 11 for 30, Vereen 3 for 18, and then the worst of it, looking at this, is Eli Manning with only 113 passing yards. It's so awful. How many 3-and-outs do they have in this game?
Well, to be honest, I watched this entire game. It was the late game after a big Thanksgiving feast. I was, you're exhausted, and these primetime games are just late as it is. And Eli was at I think it was the third quarter or even the fourth quarter. He was at 67 passing yards. I'm like, is that even possible?
27 passing attempts too.
Yeah,
so it's like they didn't throw the ball.
No, they really didn't. They just didn't have enough. They didn't do much of anything. They didn't have the ball often because there's a lot of 3 and outs. Brad Wayne got his work in because he was punting. It was bad. It was really bad offensive football. It was really tough to see. And if I was more invested and this team was better and their record was better at this point, I would have probably gotten a lot more mad. Probably throwing things and just whatever. But this team is so bad. There were times where I just laughed. I'm like, this offense is terrible. But you're right. It goes back to the fact there's nobody out there. There's no playmakers. You got guys like Tavares King, Roger Lewis, Travis Rudolph, guys that, a few guys that were practice players. So you don't expect them to do much.
Our best player is rookie. Our best receiver is rookie right now,
Well, and then they get Shepard back, and I really like Shepard. I think he's really good. And then he gets these crazy migraines out of nowhere. It's whatever can go wrong is going wrong for this team,
Yeah, and then now what? So is Jenkins definitely out for the season? They're saying that it's most likely. I mean, you might as well just shut him down. What's the point?
Yeah, and I think it makes the decision a lot easier considering they're a 2-9 team. They probably would evaluate or reevaluate it a little bit deeper if they were, going for a postseason spot, but they're not. So like you said, what's the point? What's the point? And you know what? He pissed us the frick off a couple of games ago where he just absolutely didn't play.
Scored the only touchdown though.
Yeah, I know that he did play in that game, but I was talking about the Niners game where he just was pathetic, dude.
And the Rams
suspended. After getting suspended that one game, it's ridiculous. And what is this team really playing for now? What are they playing for? They're playing for a high draft pick and maybe a little pride. I don't know, because they're not playing for the coach. No. I wouldn't think they're playing for this damn coach, man.
Except for Landon Collins. He seems to really like him.
Which I don't get because McAdoo called him out.
Well, he called him out, but he's only – I'm looking at this stat sheet. He had 15 tackles in that game, 13 solo. So
I was going to – yeah, Dave, I was going to bring that up. He was the Landon Collins of last year.
Yeah, he must have been an animal out there.
Freaking animal. He was all over the field making tackles, breaking up passes. He was really good. I don't get the fact that he's backing McAdoo. I guess you have to kind of say that. They're not playing for him. I know they're not playing the rest of the season for him. He can't be back next year. Is it possible this guy comes back? I can't see it being possible. I think the fans would have a riot.
Well, first of all, one thing I can't stand about this guy, amongst the many things I can't stand about, because I actually try to listen to all of his post-game press conferences. Every question, or not every question, but almost every question he gets, his answer is, well, I have to look at the film.
Oh, if he says I have to look at the film one more time, dude, I'm going to fucking wring his neck.
Listen, I've listened to many coaches say that at times where a certain play happens, it's a crazy play. And well, I have to look at the film. Okay. But I've never seen a coach say that so many times through so many different questions. He said, I watched a 3-minute thing on Facebook. It was a 3-minute clip of it. He must have said it 6 times. I'm like, is this guy even, one, are you even watching a game? And 2, are you just do you just not know what you're doing? So you just don't want to comment on anything? I don't get it. You have to, you're watching, you can't just you can't comment on questions you're getting about certain plays in the game. What's wrong with you?
Really quick, if I may, if I pop in here.
Sure.
Pop in.
And it's kind of speaks to a point I made before about McAdoo and some guys that we've seen in the league that are good coordinators, but they're not head coaches. We talked about this, right?
Yes.
Coordinators have to look at film. Positional coaches have to look at film. Players have to look at film. You are the goddamn head coach. Have a sack in front of the microphone and answer these goddamn questions. Put some of it on your shoulders so it's off of your players. Stop saying I have to look at the film. You watch the whole game, and you're the head coach. It's not about the X's and the O's with the head coach. Not all the time. I'll give you a little bit. A lot of head coaches call players. I get that. But stand up there in the post game and say, I have to be better. My players have to be better. And that's it. I suck right now. You know how much more respect he'd be getting from the fans if he did shit like that? Am I wrong?
No.
If he stood up there and say, I got out-coached again, I've been terrible, and I have to do better. Now, listen. He
never says that.
It goes tone deaf after a while, but say it. Just, he's a coordinator. He's a coordinator. He's not a head coach.
He's not even getting difficult questions too. They're asking him questions about like certain players and how he felt like they played and things like that. And that's his answer. I have to look at the film to really assess how he played. Like, really?
Yeah.
I think he's watching snuff films after the game.
He's deflecting. He's deflecting the questions. He's a sour puss. He's really not. He's not like you said, Mike. He's a coordinator. He's not a good head coach. He doesn't know how to handle a team. He doesn't know how to do his job, like you said, Mike. Let the coordinators do their job. You do your job and focus on the team as a whole. Take some of the blame. Shut up and go away. I mean, Jesus Christ, man. That's why this guy is so unlikable.
I think I hate his press conferences more than Belichick's.
I mean, Belichick's are just, it's repetitive, and we've heard it a million times. I mean, this guy's our coach too.
Belichick, it's so not funny. It becomes funny.
He's such an idiot.
Because I know he says the same thing over and over again, but like,
well, he also has 5 Super Bowl rings.
Yeah, he wins.
Let him do whatever. Yeah, exactly. He can't, he's got a leg to stand on, or 5 of them,
Yeah.
So, but seriously, yes, and he is our head coach. So of course, I mean, I'm going to get more annoyed, but I just can't. I honestly just listen to it just to get pissed off now, just because I know he's going to say something to annoy me. But that's basically why I listen. So,
and I'm glad that I'm down in South Carolina and I have the package. So once that game goes off, it's over. I don't watch any Giants post game because I don't have the New York sports channels. So I'm kind of glad I don't watch any of that, but I have seen a few. I've seen a couple of highlights of him in his press conferences, and you're 100% right, Dave. He is the worst behind that mic after a game. He really is.
I'm just done.
I'm done with him. I mean, we're beating a dead horse every time we talk about it.
He just can't be the coach. I don't care.
No.
I don't care if they somehow ran the table and went 7-9. I don't even care.
No.
I can't have this guy as the coach next year. They have to make a change. I'm not even as far as going to fire Jerry Reese too and just cleaning house and starting over new. Because even though I don't hate Jerry Reese, actually, I think he's done okay. He's done a pretty good job. Some good, some bad. That's just the way it's going to be when it comes to drafting and signing guys. But wouldn't even have a problem with just completely cleaning house.
Yeah. And Dave, that's okay. And I think, in my mind, sometimes when you get rid of somebody, it's not about losing. Sometimes it's just you need a change.
That's right. A different perspective, a different, different thoughts, a different way to run things, a different, whatever it may be.
And and he's been there a while. And something like the Mets did with Terry Collins. I mean, the guy's old. 2 tough seasons with so many injuries, not much his fault, but it was time to move on from him. It's stuff like that. It wasn't that he had an abysmal season with the Mets and it was just, this guy's a bad coach. No, it really wasn't that. It was time for a change. He brought us to a World Series in 2015. did a good job while he was there. Not great. He did a good job, but it was time to move on. And I think you're right. I think it's time. McAdoo 100% got to be gone. But Reese, if they got rid of him, I'm fine with it. I'm okay with it. I'm good with it, actually.
They just got to start over fresh. Just you know, throw it all in the garbage, and just let's start fresh, and let's just go from there. You know,
yeah, and like we.
Look what happened with the Rams. I mean, they got rid of Jeff Fisher. They got rid of the old. They came in with the new, a different way of doing things. And look at that team. You would watching Jared Goff last year. You would have thought he was like, dude, this guy, like, how is this guy, overall number 2 overall pick? Like, this guy looks terrible, And then this guy comes in, and they obviously are on the same page about what they do, and this team's flourished because of this guy. What's his name again? McVay.
Sean McVay.
Sean McVay. He's done that. Guy's, if he doesn't win Coach of the Year, then I don't. Then that obviously, I mean, honestly, that would just be like a joke, because that guy's done an amazing job in St. Louis.
Phenomenal job, and we've talked about this, guys, with football. It's not like baseball. You can turn it around in a year.
I think, and I think
the Browns.
And I think it's like, it seems to be not even just football, but it seems like they just want to start going younger with these coaches. Like they're getting rid of these older guys and starting to get younger. Like, and I don't know, maybe that's the way to go. Maybe they connect more with the players.
Well, if you have a young team, I think it makes sense. If the guy, if he's the right guy for the job.
It's not for every team, but you see that happening though in sports a lot more. Like usually you see coaches, they're like 40, 50, 60 years old, like a lot older. But now you're seeing coaches at like 30, 35. You didn't necessarily see that much, 10, 15 years ago.
Nope.
You really had to pay your dues in the lower levels. And in football, as a positional coach and coordinator, even in college and stuff, and really work your way up. And you're right. It took you till you were like 40 to get a head coaching gig.
Belichick was coaching, the 80s?
Belichick's been, he was a coffee bitch boy since he was like 16 years old. And
exactly.
Broke into film rooms and turned into a nut,
Exactly. These guys had to work their way up, but, hey, whatever works. I'm okay with whatever they want, wherever direction they want to go. Hey, just as long as it works. And the players play hard for them, and they like them. Whoever that is that they bring in. I don't even right now. You don't have any ideas. Like, we'll assess that in the off season. Maybe we'll see. They'll see who's available, and
they got to fire the guy first.
They got to fire. Well, in my head, he's already fired. So hopefully they just go through with it.
I can't see why he wouldn't be fired. And right, Mike, you got to fire him first before thinking about a new guy. But I mean, the New York Giant head football coaching job that's a quality job. That's a high football job that you'd want. It's not like going to the Browns,
right? Where it's still a very talented roster.
Right. It's a talented roster. It's a big city. It's glamour. It's all that jazz. And McAdoo just did not fit in. He just did not fit in. I mean, and like you said, he's not a head coach. He's a coordinator. And they 100% needs to be gone.
And they did try to go younger because they basically forced Tom Coughlin out. Coughlin probably be still coaching the team right now if they never fired him. He'd probably still be there with his red rosy cheeks.
Red rosy porcelain cheeks. Yep.
Poor Tom.
But I mean, so let's leave off with something here, Dave. So hypothetically, let's say the Giants are in the top 5 for the draft, because it's where do you go? What do you do? I mean, you have a couple of needs on the offensive side of the ball. So let's talk about that. Obviously, a lot of chatter has been around the quarterback situation because Eli Manning's 37, I believe. He's not getting any younger. He's starting to get beat up because of our O-line. And I mean, how much longer does he really have? So do you draft a quarterback in what is supposedly one of the best quarterback drafts in a very long time? What do you like? Do you like a quarterback in the top 5 spots?
Possibly. It's yes.
Because we just drafted one last year.
Yeah, I know. I mean, well, all right, let me ask you this. If there's any, I mean, I know you're probably biased on this, but if there's any quarterback you would want them to draft, who would it be? Baker Mayfield?
Well, I'm glad you kind of brought that up. I mean, the two top guys are Darnold and Rosen, obviously. But
Yeah,
I'm
from
telling you,
UCLA. But
man,
I'm not even so big on Rosen, but whatever. Keep going.
no, he's not Sam Rosen. So
He's not Sammy, yeah.
he's not Sammy Rowe. But anyway, let me talk about Baker really quick because I watch a lot of him. They say he's not the prototypical NFL quarterback, but here's what I think. This is what I think. He can go two ways because he's got that edge, which I really like, but it could get him in trouble, which it has already this season. So he could either be Johnny Manziel, which would absolutely just crush our organization, or he could be a guy like Russell Wilson. That's the type of player he is.
Good call.
When I compare him to Russell Wilson, it's not that fire, that grittiness, that just tough guy, because that's not really what Russell Wilson is. It's the way he moves around, his vision, and he's got a freaking good arm too, man. But that edge that he has negatively could be a Johnny Manziel, which I hope he doesn't go that way, even if we don't get him. I really do like him, and you could probably his draft stock has really shot up, so he might be a guy that goes in the first round now, they say.
Well, I mean, looking at like all the quarterbacks this year in college, and I don't watch a lot of college football, but I watch enough to at least I've seen these guys a decent amount. But he seems to be the best. He seems to be the best college quarterback, and all those guys that were up there, like Rosen and all of them, they have actually their stock has actually dropped while his is risen. So I like the guy. I mean, it would. The only thing about if the Giants are willing now, this is the thing because we haven't looked at it yet, but you have to look at free agents too. Because of the Giants, I don't know if there's any good offensive linemen for free agency, but the Giants can't do anything until they address that offensive line and get that get that stock and get that fixed. Because really, at that point, it's not going to matter who the hell you put back there. So
I 100% agree with that. And you know what's funny, Dave? If you get a guy like Baker Mayfield, he's been around one of the best offensive line units the last couple of years, because that's what Oklahoma football does is recruit offensive linemen.
Yeah, well, I don't know about the offensive linemen that are available in this draft because they're not really ever talked about until the actual draft, until April when the draft's about to happen. Then you start hearing about the top defensive tackles, the top defensive corners, the top offensive line. You start hearing about these guys. Right now, we really don't know. I don't, at least. So, but like I said, if they're willing to spend the money and sign some guys, if they end up cutting, some of these players with higher contracts on the team, depending on what they decide they want to do, and they open up some cap space, well, let's see. Let's see if they're willing to sign a couple guys, and then maybe they'll draft the quarterback. Who knows? I mean, you could also. I mean, if they have the third pick, that means they're going to have like the 35th pick in the second round. So you might even get a good guy. You might get somebody really great there too. So,
Well, let's look. Go ahead.
No, go.
Well, you make a good point there, because what if they're picking third and they go the route of like the offensive lineman, or even like a running back like Saquon Barkley, he's going to be probably a top 5 pick. If they go that route and Baker kind of falls or stays to where he really should be, possibly, I don't even know. And he does go, he's at that spot where we're at the second round. Do you draft him then?
Well, it's definitely possible, because you figure like most teams that are good, they're not necessarily looking to draft a quarterback unless their quarterback's old, mostly because their team was good last year, which means their quarterback probably played well. So hence they probably don't need to draft a quarterback. So it's very possible if he didn't go, say, in the first 10 or 15 picks, that he could fall. Very, very, very possible. So, yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, they're going to – listen, Eli Manning's not going to play forever, and he's probably only got, I'd say, at best, 3 years left. And that's at best.
At best. I mean, he is the Iron Man. He just passed his brother games played, but you're right. He's only got a few more years left, so we have to really think about it. But you know what we really have to do? We got to put this guy Davis Webb in the game somewhere.
Yeah, I was just going to I was going to ask you guys, what about Davis Webb? Because this is a guy who he wasn't like a 7th round, let's take a quarterback. He was a 3rd round
No.
pick. Okay, and you come off an 11-5 season last year, a disappointing playoff exit, and then you draft a quarterback. Does one bad year say, oh shit, we need a quarterback with a top 5 pick? Is that automatic? Or can Davis Webb be the guy? Now, like you said, you don't know because you haven't seen him play. But you're never going to know until you know. So
Right.
Does this season make you panic and say, oh, well, there's a lot of good quarterbacks. Let's take one at 3 when you have a few, you have other holes. So it's an interesting question. Now, from what I see with these mock drafts lately, Baker Mayfield will not drop to the 2nd round.
No, he will not.
I know.
Look at the Miami Dolphins picking at 16.
I mean,
Yep.
I see the Jets taking him some mocks. Buffalo
Miami, at 21.
Yeah, Buffalo and a team
Jacksonville.
And listen, a team that may not need a quarterback right now that sees him as a bit of a project because that may be kind of the not stigma, but kind of the thought about him. Even though I think he is a pretty polished kid, but you see a college quarterback who runs around, you think a little bit of a project. So maybe a team will just take him, a la 2005 Green Bay Packers taking Aaron Rodgers when they didn't need a quarterback. Something like that could happen. So that being said, there's not a lot. It's a pretty weak offensive line draft, which presents another problem.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I think you have one guy graded in the top 10, depending on who you ask, a kid from Texas. I forget his name.
Texas, yeah. Not Williams. Is it Williams? Can't remember, but you're right. It's a guy from Texas.
Yeah, and you have McGlinchey from Notre Dame. You have the guard from Notre Dame. But I think you just got to be careful with just maybe not overreacting to one bad year where, let's be honest, if you had all your guys, you wouldn't be this bad.
True.
So an injury-riddled kind of year with a coach you want to run out of town anyway, do you say, oh, well, we need the franchise quarterback. We need to take another shot at it with a number 3 overall pick. I don't know if you want to overreact that badly to it.
Yeah, Mike, honestly, that's a good point. And Ryan, let me ask you this. So, you still think Eli Manning can get the job done, correct?
Yes, with players around him, yes.
That's my point. So if you put the right pieces around him, the right players, and him still doing what he does, then there's no reason why the Giants can't be a 10, 11-win team next year, and you might not even need to draft a quarterback because quarterbacks are going to keep coming. I mean, they're going to you'll hit or miss with them, but they're going to be in 3 years. There's going to be somebody new there, somebody a big superstar, somebody that could be drafted, or even then maybe you never know. Maybe you don't see it very much. Quarterbacks usually don't leave for other teams that are really good. You don't see big signings like that where a guy like, say, I don't know. Just trying to think of I'm giving a good example here of a quarterback who would be most of these quarterbacks are franchise players. You don't see them really leave when they're that good. You don't see them actually leave to go to other teams. So really, it's going to have to be a quarterback drafted, but they could win with Eli still. With the right players, and Beckham will be back. Marshall, I don't know what they're going to do with him if they're even going to give him a chance, but they can definitely they can make some switches and they can do some different things. And I think possibly if there's an O lineman that's out there, top one that they could sign, left tackle, preferably, somebody who can actually watch his blind side, and sack 6 times a game.
It doesn't seem like there's much out there, dude. Nate Solder from the Patriots comes to mind. It's just, anything is better than what we really have right now.
What about a trade? Because trading seems to be a little more common lately in the NFL.
This year was crazy.
So maybe a trade. Maybe how about this? How about trading a pick for a top offensive lineman? Possibly, if a team was willing to let somebody go.
You could do that. That could be something.
I don't know if that's, like I said, this is all hypothetical right now.
Yeah, no, all options are on the table, dude.
Like, what if you like? Would you be okay with trading, say, a second-round pick for a really good offensive lineman?
Yeah, he's got to be good though. He's got to be a top-notch guy. I mean, it would probably take the first-round pick though for a top-notch guy. To be honest with you,
Yeah, it's
because
just
it would be an established offensive lineman, especially like a left tackle.
And a top-notch guy that gets traded is usually because that team doesn't want to pay him anymore, and you guys
Right.
don't have a ton of money
No,
because
we
Jerry
just spent a ton of
write
money on
checks
all
for
those
this year,
defensive
right?
players.
So possible, not probable.
Right.
But it's an issue because there's not going to be a ton in the draft unless Jerry Reese, unless the scouts can find a really good one in the middle rounds.
Yeah,
There'll be guys.
They might have to do.
Right, there's going to be Pro Bowl offensive linemen drafted in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round, like there always are. But you got to find them. So, a trade's unlikely. You never know. Signing a guy, there aren't many guys. Nate Solder probably won't leave the Patriots. No one ever leaves the Patriots. So it's a problem for sure.
It is a problem. So if you go away from there, Dave, then you look at another skill position on the offensive side of the ball, and that's running back, which we haven't had. We haven't had a top flight running back since Tiki Barber. Let's be honest. I mean, I know we won those 2 Super Bowls not having a top flight guy, but we got lucky with that little thunder and lightning in Jacobs and Bradshaw. They did the job, but guess what? We also had those years, great offensive linemen. So that helped. But if you go away from the offensive linemen, like we said, it might be tough in the draft. We don't know who's out there to sign. Running back, got to go running back. And you have a stud who's going to go top 3 probably in Saquon Barkley. I've watched him from Penn State. He's a freaking monster.
Runs a 4.
He's fun to watch. Mike, have you watched him a little bit?
Yeah, and he runs a 4.3, and he can't be tackled. He can't be tackled. He can't be caught. But the problem is, here's the problem. Does he fall even to 3?
I know.
Number 1 overall?
I know.
Number 1, number 2, possibly. That's going to be the biggest hurdle with him is can the Giants even get him without having to move up? I mean, you definitely don't want to move up, that you'll pay a king's ransom.
Well, the Browns, they're going to go for a quarterback because they love that. So they're going QB because they need one every year.
I wouldn't be shocked if Cleveland trades out one.
They could do that too. You're right.
They like to stock up so many picks because that's kind of been their.
What happened to them last time they did that? Yeah, that really worked out.
But when they pick number 1 overall,
no,
they just can't do anything right.
They don't do nothing right.
But I wouldn't be shocked if they traded out of 1.
Right.
Obviously, someone's going to trade up to 1 overall for a quarterback. But then do the Niners take Saquon Barkley? I could see it. To 3, I mean,
you have to take him.
You know what? You can make a really strong case. I mean, they're saying this kid's already a better prospect than Ezekiel Elliott ever was.
Mm-hmm.
He was at what? He went 5, 6 overall.
Yeah, 6, right?
6,
something like that. Yeah.
5 or 6, something like.
Yeah, I think he's that good.
Yeah, he is. You got a couple of good running backs coming out. I like the guy from LSU. What's his name? Can't remember. Geis from another guy that they say is a polished, like ready to go NFL guy.
Yeah, and listen, here's the thing too. Saquon Barkley is a tremendous prospect, but when you have guys like Kareem Hunt from Toledo and Jamal Williams from BYU and Jones from UTEP and Marlon Mack from South Florida, you can find running backs.
That's where you win the drafts, man.
Right, and I'm not saying any of those guys are Saquon Barkley. We don't know what Saquon Barkley is going to be. Now, if he lives up to the hype, he's going to be an all-pro. But, that's the one position that teams are hesitant to spend a really high pick on because it's usually a very, very deep position. You got the kid from Stanford who's really good.
Yeah, Love.
Right, Love.
Lovely.
And, I can't think of any more off the top of my head, but look at last year. I mean, Kareem Hunt from Toledo. Who the hell heard of Kareem Hunt? You know what I mean? So
Yeah, Kareem Hunt sucked for my FanDuel team.
well, he's obviously either hit a rookie wall or just he's on that skid train with Kansas City right now. They're all going down the tubes. But my point being, it's usually deep position. But if Saquon Barkley's there at 3, they
I don't know how you can pass up on him.
Right.
But it's tough with a running back too because let's be honest, who gets hit the most? Running backs, and they get injured. They get injured the most than any other position in the league. So it's a high risk, but for a guy like that, it's worth it. Number 1 overall pick money. I don't know if you're willing to give a running back that type of money.
Yeah.
Well,
do you remember the last first round running back we drafted?
Was it Andre Williams?
No, he was like a a third rounder,
something like that.
So maybe he's the end of one.
Oh, was it earlier? Was it the guy from Maryland? No, he was. Never mind.
It was a good one.
Come on. Well, no, I don't want to give you the hint. That'll give it away.
You don't tell me about the year because that'll probably give.
Yeah, that'll just
What college?
No cheating.
Do you know what college he went
to? Virginia Tech.
Oh, the kid who got hurt.
Yep. Not in the league anymore.
David something?
David Wilson.
Right.
David
the kid
Wilson.
who hurt his neck. Right.
David
Mr.
Wilson.
Backflip.
Yeah.
I think they drafted him like 22 overall or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, someone in the 20s.
That was a bad. He had that neck injury.
Yeah.
Rough. I like that guy. He used to do the backflips, and Stanley used to get pissed off.
Yeah. Are you going to get hurt? Well,
there you go.
I don't know. It's interesting to see what ends up happening, and especially it'd be interesting to see if they actually fire their GM and they got a new GM in here, and maybe he's got that's going to be interesting.
Right.
Somebody do something different, so you don't know. Like what we think Jerry Reese would do, maybe we could figure that out. But with a totally new guy in that we don't know, it'll be really interesting to see how they draft.
It is, and I think those 3 positions that we talked about is going to be their high priorities. Now, do the Giants do their traditional draft a dominant defensive lineman? They could. I wouldn't put it past them.
I don't feel like but you know what? I hope they don't because it's not really something. It's not a need. I know sometimes with these drafts they say take the best player available regardless of the position. But you know what? The Giants have the holes are they're gaping holes. They are. It's not something they needed to address the offensive line last year. Now there might not be some good offensive linemen in this draft, and that's fine. But they need to address these positions first before anything else. I'm sorry if they draft like a defensive tackle or something along the lines of that. I'm going to be pissed. They don't.
It would be a pass rusher if they did anything defensively.
That's what I mean.
An edge rusher. I think the position gets thrown like outside linebacker, and these guys are just rushers, right? I don't see them doing it. I think the one wild card the Giants could do, if Barkley's gone, they could trade down. If they don't love an offensive tackle at 3, if they don't love any of the quarterbacks at 3.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like maybe you trade the pick for an NFL player right now, and you get. It's not. I know you don't see that, but I don't know. We didn't see a lot of things happening.
You would see that before the draft.
Yes, definitely. That would definitely happen before the draft. It wouldn't be like happening. Roger Goodell's not going to come out and be like, "Yeah, we,
traded for
Joe Schmo."
Right.
Yeah. But seriously, I'm not even opposed to that. Like if they traded that pick and say if they traded that pick, right, and maybe they got a player and then maybe like a 3rd or 4th round pick or something like that to go with it. I would be okay with that, depending on the player, but I would be fine with that, especially if it's like an offensive lineman, like an established, really good offensive lineman.
I think, if they're high on Barkley, if they think they have a chance of getting Barkley, they won't trade that pick.
No.
And draft is interesting. They could get information. Oh, Cleveland, we know Cleveland's going to take Barkley, or we know San Francisco is going to take Barkley. You never know what kind of information they're getting, but they think they have a shot. You probably won't see it, but I could see them trading out. They're on the clock, and of course they're taking calls. Every pick takes calls, and they move because you can't love an offensive tackle at 3. None of them are good enough. And you can make an argument you don't like any of those quarterbacks at 3, and you could still like Davis Webb. So moving out of the pick and stockpiling picks because you have so many holes is never a bad strategy.
I think they got to get Kevin Costner in there. Draft day.
He knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing. Like
you see the movie, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he knows exactly what he's doing.
Well, 2 things about that. One, the Giants, they have a stigma of not doing that in the first round, trading. So, no, he likes where he usually is, and he doesn't usually trade his pick at all. And 2, what I was saying about the pass rusher is just kind of what they've done in the past. And they did it, Dave, when they didn't need a pass rusher, and they drafted JPP. They didn't need one back then. They still had OC. They had Tuck. They didn't need JPP, but they took the best player available because Reese does that.
And
he's done that many times.
He blew his hand off. He was good. He's still pretty decent, but,
He had 10 fingers.
Good football. Well, I think he's still one of the best pass rushers in the league, but I don't know. He's a weird.
Yeah, well,
he's still a freak.
Doesn't make many interceptions nowadays when the ball just hits his club and falls to the ground.
Yeah. No, he doesn't.
You should just put some like super glue on that club and let the ball just stick to it. Like when you were a kid playing that. They had those little what do you call them?
The tennis ball sticky.
Sticky things. Yeah. Bro, just like that with like a football. Just like it sticks the club up there and the ball just attaches.
Somehow it's legal. It's a JPP rule.
Yeah, the JPP.
You can be or you can be from Little Giants. Hot Hands Haney.
Yeah, with all the stick 'em.
That black goo or whatever.
Well,
he puts it on his jersey and he just tries to hit it in the head. He just knocks him over.
Now, there's a movie I got to watch again. What a great movie. The Annexation of Puerto Rico.
Annexation of Puerto Rico.
That's what McAdoo needs on his diner sheet, the Annexation of Puerto Rico. But honestly, with pass rushers and with offensive linemen, with the big guys, with the linemen, you can never have enough. You may not have a need, but you will, and you will soon. So, even if
those guys get hurt so easily.
Listen, but here's the thing. At 3 overall, you need an impact player right away. But I think just as a general mindset, the big guys up front, both lines, you can never have enough, even if they're not going to play anyway right away. They're jars on the shelf, as I like to say, and they're going to be important pieces. So you can never have enough, pass rushers included.
Oh, 100% agree.
Whatever. You know what?
But yeah,
just win. I mean, it's so hard to really project what they're really going to do. I'm hoping they just better make moves. I don't really care. I mean, I do care what they do, but make some moves, change some things up, because what they're doing now ain't working.
No, they'll do something. Something will be done in that organization. And like we said, it can turn around in a year. So I'm not worried right now. We'll see what they do in the offseason. We'll see what they do in the draft, and we'll go from there. But enough Giants talk. We've beat a dead horse with this damn team. We'll continue to beat a dead horse, but we're done. Let's talk a little Packers, Mike. Last night, tough loss.
Yeah. I mean, imagine being so bad at your job for 9 years and you get treated so badly that you still get paychecks and you still have job security. I mean, can you imagine that nightmare? That's what that's Dom Capers' life right now. What a fucking life this guy has. Teflon Dom, untouchable. He has to have shit on everybody in that organization. He's got to have so much shit on Murphy and Thompson and McCarthy that they're afraid to fire him. Because how can you be average at best? The Packers' ceiling is average on defense, and he's been the longest tenured defensive coordinator in the league. How is that possible? There are guys who run good defenses that get fucking fired. And there he is, sitting in the fucking skybox with his Dunkin' Donuts coffee. I want to fucking strangle him. And listen, last night, we have 3 takeaways, and the defense, they hung around. You gave up 462 yards to a very good offense. I understand. In their building, I get it. With maybe 3 future Hall of Famers. I get it. But once again, shredded through the air, gashed on the ground. I mean, did anyone think they were going to stop the Steelers in a tie game when all they needed was a field goal? Anyone in their fucking right mind actually think that defense could come up with a big stop? Because I didn't.
They never really do.
They never do. They never do. They've screwed Rodgers out of countless wins. Now they screw this poor kid Hundley, who fucking played his balls off. Offense played great. Hundley played really, really well. Williams played really, really well. And to be honest, 21-14, they come out of second half. The big shot to Adams on a 3rd and 1. What a play call. Great play call. Double move. Great route. Not a perfect throw. A little underthrown, but he learned his lesson from a couple weeks ago. He led Adams enough, and Adams did the rest to take it to the house. We go up by a touchdown, and then we pick Roethlisberger off next drive. The tip ball, and Martinez picks off. We have the ball at Pittsburgh's 45. Okay? 3 runs from Williams for a first down. We're down to Pittsburgh's 31. Really good chance to go up 2 scores. Sack, incompletion, sack. Back to the fucking, I don't know, it ended up being a 57-yard field goal, so we're back to whatever yard line that is. And McCarthy probably out of frustration.
40-yard line.
Yeah. They weren't huge sacks, but sacks nonetheless. Out of field goal range, you would think, but McCarthy, out of frustration, thinking he was just banking on points, sends Crosby out there for a 57-yarder when the longest field goal in that building's history is like 53 or 54 yards. And that building's been around for a while. And
very hard to kick there.
And Crosby kicks it into the fucking Allegheny River. I can't really kill him for it, but it wasn't even fucking close. It was worse than those Nugent kicks, or Nick Folk kicks from that video. Yeah. Poor Crosby.
Probably better off punting there and maybe pinning him deep in field position.
And then 5 plays and a pass interference later, Steelers tie it because they got the ball at midfield. And I really, really thought the Packers would probably pack it in and fold up at that moment, even though it was a tie game. It didn't feel like it. All the momentum was completely gone, but they didn't. Hundley didn't. And I guess you can give I'm so to the point where I blame Capers for everything. I really think we have good defensive players who play hard. They're set up to fail. I really, really think so. I'm starting to think Demarius Randall might be actually pretty good, which is a crazy thing to say. You might think I'm a crazy person, but the kid's got like 4 or 5 picks this year.
I had one last night.
Like, if you're always in the right place at the right time like that, you're doing something right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but, Le'Veon Bell had
12 catches.
Yeah, 38 catches. He would just catch a dump off for 7 yards, make the first guy miss, 12-yard gain. And I know he does that to everybody. And I know Antonio Brown torches everybody. But it's not just Antonio Brown with Dom Capers. It's every team's best weapon. And some of them are really good that have had monster games. Julio Jones and Antonio Brown. But some of the guys, like a 35-year-old Reggie Wayne, Keenan Allen when he's the only good player on the team. I texted this to you guys earlier today, and I want to say it on the show. A coach like Belichick, or a competent coach, not even Bill Belichick, one that has brain cells, will take the best offensive weapon another team has and take them out of the game. And Capers did it early on. For a quarter and a half, Antonio Brown it wasn't even like a bracket. It wasn't even like an over-under. It wasn't even like shading a safety. It was just 2 guys on Antonio Brown. It was almost comical some plays. It was 2 guys running with him. That's fine. That's what you have to do.
I saw that.
That's what you have to do. And when it comes down to crunch time, I'm bored with that. Let's just roll the dice now. Like, what the fuck is that?
You got to let Martavis Bryant, Eli Rogers beat you, or Jesse James, and one of these other guys. Yes.
Give me that.
Yeah.
But no.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it's not always Brown. It's every team's best player. Other teams take the best player away. We roll out the red carpet and say, just have a day. As much as you can get. Go ahead.
It's really true, actually. And now that I'm actually thinking about it, it really is true.
Think about it.
No, I know.
And like I said, I'm going to try to stay somewhat objective here. Julio Jones is hard to cover by anybody.
Of course.
So is Antonio Brown. But those guys have been shut down by teams before, teams that 100% commit to not letting that guy beat them. You can do it.
just take one example from the Steelers this year. There have been games where Brown and Bell did nothing, right? And they may have still won the game, but they were shut down pretty well. So those teams were doing something right. Bell's had some really bad games this year where he was like pretty non-existent. Brown's had games where he's had like 4 catches for like 30 yards. And then maybe like Smith-Schuster, who didn't even play, by the way, last night. God, if he, we'll just throw that in there. He didn't even play, but like guys like that have actually like stepped up and been the ones that actually been beating teams. Not, Brown's been coming on now. The last few weeks he's been starting to really come on, but for a while there, those guys weren't really performing at their superstar level.
Well, you could be the best receiver on your team and just having a shit year. You could be Jordy Nelson. You could be Jordy Nelson with the Packers offense and then go against the Packers defense, 8 for 120 and 2 scores.
It's true.
Running wide open all over the field. Whatever they want. Dom Capers doesn't care. He doesn't care about I don't know what the philosophy is anymore. It used to be bend but don't break. Now it's just bend and we'll break eventually anyway.
Like, all right, so like if you were defensive coordinator and you're playing, if you're playing the Giants, right? How would you play the Giants? Like who would you want to take? Who would you want to limit? Beckham. Right? Because you want to. So it's the same thing. Like I think a lot of game plans when the Giants come into town would be, okay, we need to shut down Odell Beckham because they really don't have much of anything else to really go with. So if we shut him down, we'll probably win the game.
Sure. Right now, I would shade coverage to Evan Engram playing the Giants. It's easy. And listen, football is hard. I understand that. And you can have a great plan and it fucking not work out. But I saw it. Capers actually did it in the first half. And Antonio Brown still got his yards and still got his catches. But you make it hard on him. And when it comes down to crunch time, when you need it, they don't do it. And Devon House sucks. He's one player I will not defend anymore. I was actually excited about bringing him back. He is garbage. He is a flaming pile of garbage.
I like that guy King.
Kevin King's a player.
Kevin King's a player. He made a nice tackle on Martavis Bryant. Remember?
Yeah.
I know they scored eventually on the 4th and goal, but like that was a really nice tackle. Yeah,
and he's playing with He's playing with one arm. He's playing with a really bad shoulder. But yeah, that kid. We have a player there. We have players. See, this is the thing with Capers. There's no more excuses. I mean, I can go through. I'm not going to go through the starting 11, but the talent is there. Clay Matthews didn't even play last night. The talent is there. Neither Kenny Clark, who's coming to his own next to Daniels.
Yeah. Good young player.
The talent is there, and I just mentioned 200 guys, but for the most part, we've been healthy. So what is it now? What's the excuse now? There's no more excuses. I mean, we talk about McAdoo. He's got to be gone. I mean, and listen, I say this like Dom Capers has to be gone. He's not going to be fired. He's going to outlive me. He's like 68 years old. He's going to live to 250. And my poor grandkids, who I'm going to make Packer fans, are going to watch his defenses suck.
This is what I said to Mike before we even got on here. So, like, I think he told me that the Steelers had about 430, how much? 434 total yards?
462.
62. I'd say about, I can't know the exact number, but about almost around 350 that was Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
So there you go right there. And I'm sorry, there is no excuse for a running back to have 12 fucking catches. 12.
Only if you're trying to catch up and you're just dumping off passes.
Yeah, if you're up by 20 points and like just dumping, that's one thing. But in a close game like that, and I'm sorry, but like for a running back to have 12 catches, he ran for, I think he had 12 for like 88, and he ran for like 90 yards or something like that. Antonio Brown had 169 yards receiving. So add all that up, that's like almost 350 yards.
I'll give you the numbers because it just Bell went 20 for 95 on the ground. So we held him to under 5 yards carry, which I guess is pretty good. And we kept him out of the end zone, which I guess
he didn't score.
Kind of a win for 88 yards. Giving up 12 catches to a running back is fine if it's 12 catches for 20 yards.
Yeah.
Now, again, the common theme, these are really good players, and Le'Veon Bell does it to everybody. He's impossible to tackle in the open field. So
good cuts too. He's very
he catches the ball. If he has two, Collinsworth said it. If he catches the ball, like his little dump off where he's just straight in front of Roethlisberger, he runs out, turns around, and he turns around to face the defense, and he's got a 2 or 3 yard cushion. That guy's not tackling him. So that turns
Watch
into
out.
88 yards. So
Mm-hmm.
88 receiving, 95 on the ground is what, 183? Brown had 169. Okay. So if my math is correct, really quick, that's 352 yards.
There you go. And
From
there you had it.
2 fucking people. But Dom Capers doesn't care. Dom Capers, while Martavis Bryant was limited to not much. Oh, cool, man.
Still caught a touchdown.
Still caught, yeah. Yeah, bad example. Xavier Grimble, he caught a touchdown. Who the fuck is Xavier Grimble, by the way?
Grimble. He's very nimble.
So, all right, listen, let's turn the page here. Well, I didn't even mention getting shut out at home the week before for the first time, I don't know, since Mike Sherman was the coach, probably. Our playoff chances are officially on life support. Even if we win out, I'm not so sure 10 gets in anymore in the standings.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
10 wins, you may need a tiebreaker to get in. There's going to be a 10-win team in the NFC.
And the Falcons are hot now. I mean, you got that NFC South might produce 3 playoff teams.
Right.
Panthers, Falcons, and Saints.
And the Saints. Okay, and then you still have the Seahawks. If the Rams are going to win the division, you still have the Seahawks to contend with.
Yes.
Okay. And the East and the North are probably going to produce one, unless the Packers can somehow be a wild card team. But it's it's going to be daunting. They're going to need help. Could run the table here. Now, listen. All that being said, me bitching up and down, they took the Steelers, to the 11th hour in their building last night. They played really well overall, especially offensively.
Something positive,
right? They play Tampa. They play Cleveland. They play Detroit and Minnesota again. I'm getting the order mixed up. And that 5th game, no game's easy. But looking at it on paper, they're all winnable. They could do it. And Rodgers is throwing 35-yard lasers apparently.
They say the potential comeback is for the Minnesota game. So whenever that,
which would be that's week 16. Yeah. That's 2 games left. So we have to win 3 games here. Tampa, Cleveland, and I'm can't remember the third one. Carolina at home. No, in Carolina. Right. Tough. So officially down to 1% probably. But I give credit to Hundley. Yeah, the kid, to go into Pittsburgh, who is on both sides of the ball, very, very dangerous team lately, and to stick it to him early. I mean, we sucked the air out of that building for a while. Was a good job. And, defense took the ball away, whoop-de-doo. But until Dom Capers is gone, I don't know how he could win another Super Bowl, even with Rodgers. I really don't know how, because it always comes down to him, and he always disappoints, finds a way to lose it. So, that's what I'm going to end with. If there's moral victories, there were a ton last night because it was a young team led by a young quarterback, almost beat Pittsburgh when they were 2 touchdown underdogs. But the bottom line is fire Capers, period.
Perfect point. Last year in the playoffs, they had a shootout against Dallas, right? And, Aaron Rodgers, performed some magic to win that game with Jared Cook. But what happened next week, they got their shit pushed in, and they were out of it in the second quarter because they already given up 30 points. So Aaron Rodgers can't fix that.
No.
So there you go.
I can think of so many games. But, and that's the sad thing I mentioned before. He's not going to be fired. He's not going to be fired. He's just going to haunt me forever.
Forever.
He is the longest tenured defensive coordinator in the league for a defense that sucks. Think about that for a second. Put it in perspective. They're defensive coordinators who really know what they're doing, and they get fired. Not Teflon Dom. He's on
Maybe Aaron Rodgers has saved his job up for all these years because of just how good he is and how many points they score.
He can patch a lot of holes in a boat, man. Yeah. But the ship is sinking. don't want to stay on that metaphor.
Sink.
And, need to throw Dom overboard. And that'll be my last boat pun of the night. So, there's your Packer report. Played well. Hundley's really grown up before our eyes, but he's got a taste of Aaron Rodgers' life. You play really, really well, and you didn't have the ball last, so you lose. Game over. Nuns, are you there? Nuns, can you hear us? I think we're having a technical issue here. For who knows how long. Nuns going once. Nunsy going twice. All right. Nuns will be back in a second. So, Giants done, Packers done.
Recap a little of yesterday's games.
Yeah, we got to watch a little action. I think we got to start with Saints Rams because I think it was the most intriguing game going in. It lived up to some hype, and I guess the Rams. I guess you got to call the Rams the favorite to challenge the Eagles now in a still pretty wide open NFC. But that Saints-Rams game was pretty good.
Very good. And challenging with guys that, let's be honest, some of these guys I never even heard of. I had no idea what Cooper Kupp was before the season started.
Cooper Kupp.
8 for 116 yesterday.
From Eastern Washington.
Yeah,
if I'm not
boys,
mistaken.
do you hear me?
Yeah, we're right. It's good to have you back, buddy. Just talking a little Saints Rams right now.
Good.
Just recapping that one. That was probably one of the better games of yesterday. Just saying how the Rams might be one of the top teams to contend with the Eagles for this NFC right now. Hitting on all cylinders. Goff playing great. You got these receivers who, like I said, we'd never even heard of until this year, stepping up. Cooper Kupp,
And with no Woods, who was emerging as their one.
Yeah. Gurley still being Gurley, doing his thing, It's crazy, man. And the defense has played very well, too.
And how about something we mentioned, Dave, while we were watching? I don't know the reason, but the Rams, kind of in a 6-minute offense where you're starting to really kill clock, just kept throwing it.
Yeah, they were up by 10. They were up 23-13 with 6 minutes to go. And I'm thinking, I'm sitting there with Mike, and I'm like, all right, well, they're just going to start handing the ball to Gurley now because they're just going to try to kill some clock, and even if they have to punt, whatever. And Goff's throwing, 2nd and 8, he's throwing the ball, they just kept throwing.
Now, I think a couple things, because you think they have Todd Gurley. I mean, what the hell are you doing? But, the Saints were missing top cornerbacks, so definitely vulnerable. So, but still ballsy. I like this guy McVay, man, the coach. Just all balls, so just go. We're gonna throw the ball. We're gonna go score again, and we're gonna really end the game right now.
Well, one thing I always get I always say about maybe the NFL or just in sports in general. But basically, no, it's basically the NFL. I don't like when you're doing something and it's working all game, or you're very successful in what you're doing, and then it gets down to the later stages of the game and you get really conservative and you allow teams to get back into games. And I can't stand that. And so I totally I love what they were doing there. They were sticking to their game plan. They, if that's what they thought they needed to do to be successful, to close the game out, fine with me, because I think teams get way too conservative at the end of these games, and it allows teams to get back into them and can sometimes bite them in the ass. So I'm okay with it. I loved it, actually. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing, guys, and you didn't mention it in this for this Rams team, who's been quite an unsung hero. That left tackle they signed, Andrew Whitworth, man.
Yeah.
A guy that I wish the Giants would have went after.
Yep.
But he shores up that left side of the line. He opens those holes for Gurley, and he protects Goff.
Yeah.
It's evident in their play. And they also have the best arguably the best defensive player in football in Aaron Donald, too.
Easily the best interior lineman.
Oh, yeah.
Defensive lineman, and like you said, maybe the best defensive player, period.
Yeah,
he creates havoc.
He's that good.
He's that freaking good.
When he was coming out of Pitt, and he was definitely on everyone's radar, but he, obviously not this high. But I remember at the Senior Bowl, I read a report, and scouts were just going, "This guy is just demolishing like all-American offensive linemen all week at these practices." He just gets on. He's a smaller guy.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing.
He gets under these guys' pads, and he can put them in the 10th row if he wanted to. He just moves these large offensive linemen. He is very good, and he is the wrecker for them.
I mean, if you think like the two best interior linemen, it's probably him and Snacks, and they do totally different things.
Yeah. Yep.
Snacks is just a freaking load, and you can't run on him. And then Donald just does it all.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. I mean, imagine those two on the same team. Holy cow.
Crazy. I mean, because you have great interior linemen that, like Casey Hampton's a great example. Casey Hampton, the old Steeler, might be the best nose tackle ever. And you're talking about a Hall of Fame player who had he averaged 1.5 tackles a game. But all he did was just eat blocks. He used to take on double teams, triple teams, and not move. Mm-hmm. And that's why the Steelers had all those linebackers, all those all-pro linebackers. It was because of Casey Hampton.
Yeah, he was very unsung.
So you have guys like that. But then you have guys like Snacks, who I don't know if I'll put Snacks on Casey Hampton's level yet, but Snacks can take on those blocks and then make the tackle.
It's a big boy.
You can't move Harrison, and he'll still hit guys in the backfield. And then you got guys like Aaron Donald, who I've never seen a guy rush the passer from that position this well. I mean, this early in his career. So, like you said, it's cool to see the different ways they can dominate a game, but they're all great.
And yeah, it's good to watch. And you know what, guys? I'm going to keep going back to it because my freaking Chiefs pick is going down the tubes, but I picked the Rams to win that division.
Yep. Well, that was a great pick.
Well,
but I'll still remind you that you were still kind of half wrong because you said they would win 8 games.
I did 8 or 9. I said.
No, or 9. I'll give you this. I think I remember listening to. I'm pretty sure you said 9 and 7, so I'll give you that.
Okay.
Better than 8.
Yeah. How about the Chiefs? How about this? Before we start talking about the Chiefs, the Chargers are a game out of first place.
Yes. The team, and they were like,
"Go Chargers, go!"
And I was so high on the Chargers earlier in the season, and when they went 0-4, I was like, "Wow, I look like such a dumbass right now." And I was like,
by a combined 5 points, though, typical.
No, Chargers. I know, but I was just like, because I honestly thought they could. I remember saying, I'm like, because I know I don't get on the podcast a lot, but I remember one of the first ones I did. I remember saying that, I was like, I really think this could be the year for the San Diego Chargers to make a run. And then they went 0-4, and I'm like, wow, you're a jackass. I was like, you look like an idiot. But now I'm believing. I believe in the San Diego Chargers.
You know what? They could be a sneaky little pick to.
I know. I love it.
Because you know what?
I'm rooting for them.
They can rush the passer, and they can run the ball.
And they're doing it with, and like you said, they're doing it with defense, too.
Right. Their pass rush ferocious. Bosa and
Joey Bosa,
Melvin Ingram.
Yes. And they got some good corners, and one of them used to be yours.
Casey H.
He's very good.
Yes, he is.
Yes.
And I'll never get on the Packers. Packer fans flip out at Ted Thompson for letting him go, and people forget that Casey Hayward, after his really good rookie year, sucked. And maybe it was maybe it was Dom Capers' fault. Who knows? That was probably the Dom Capers effect, where it's a good player, but you can't tell he's good because he plays for Dom Capers.
Well, and let's look at the Chargers' schedule down the stretch, because they get the Chiefs and the Raiders once more, but they have the Browns this week. They have the Redskins, which could go either way, and they have the Jets, and they also have the Chiefs and the Raiders, like I said. So. I said this yesterday, a bunch of times. I said it during Thanksgiving because that's when they played. When they won that game against Dallas, I said to Just, they're going to win that division. They're going to win that division. I don't know why I said it right away, but I was like, they're going to win that division.
I'll say one thing about the Chargers. Now, you said they play the Browns this week?
They play the Browns this week.
All right, listen, Chargers.
I know where you're going with this.
because you know how the Chargers. You know the Chargers. They can play down in their competition. They can be in a really close game. And listen, you want to talk trap game. Now, where's the game? Do you know?
The game is at home.
It doesn't really matter. They don't have much of a home field advantage right now.
No, they don't.
But luckily, it's Cleveland, and with Kaiser, Cleveland will have a chance to win, and they'll probably fuck it up. But the Chargers have to be really careful with this.
It's in San Diego or Los Angeles, whatever.
Not San Diego.
There's San Diego Chargers to me at heart.
They're probably moving back, but the Chargers have to be careful here.
Yeah. Well, hey, Mike, guess who the last team the Browns won against?
Chargers
last year. That was their only win.
So now listen, just be careful. Play to perfection, as Nick Saban would say. Don't worry about your opponent.
Yeah, but they you know what, guys? One game behind with a reeling Chiefs team, and the Raiders, they're going to lose some guys. Even though they'll probably beat the Giants this week, they're going to lose some guys. Amari Cooper, just a brutal concussion.
And an ankle injury.
Yes, and an ankle injury. And Crabtree's probably going to be suspended.
Yeah, needs another new chain.
Yeah, I know.
So,
I mean,
fisted punching helmets.
So, I mean, the Chargers, man, they can win that division. They really could. I mean, and in the AFC, which has been much weaker than the NFC, they could even still pull out a wild card spot. You never know.
Well, I said it yesterday. Right now, the NFC is way deeper than the AFC, and you don't know. And we haven't seen this in a while because usually the AFC is usually like, God, usually they're a little better. Usually, but this year, no, the NFC is so much deeper than the AFC.
Yeah, I mean, you got
top of the AFC, but NFC as 1 through 10 is definitely better than the AFC's 1 through 10. Put it that way.
Well, I feel that like the NFC at this point, like even as a wild card team, 10 wins might not get you in.
Well, yeah, that was what I was saying before. Even if the Packers win out, they're going to need tiebreaker help, I would think.
Because right now, the Falcons are starting to look like the Falcons again, boys.
Yeah.
So, and Carolina's winning with Cam Newton running the ball, running all over the field, and they seem to keep. And their defense has played pretty well this year. Carolina, their defense. Luke Kuechly is just amazing. I love that guy. Once another fumble return touchdown yesterday. So, they're still hitting on all cylinders too. But basically,
deep conference. It's a deep conference.
It's very deep. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this now. I mean, and honestly, I have to start giving the Vikings some credit.
No, you don't.
I know, Mike, but like honestly, like,
all right.
Yeah, it's not just about the defense anymore. Like they actually, I mean, I don't even like Latavius Murray. I don't even really care for a lot of their offensive players. But that guy Adam Thielen's a player, man. I like him a lot. And Case Keenum's played really well. I mean, the guys played really, really well. I mean, they actually remember 2 weeks ago they beat the Rams, and they beat them pretty convincingly. So I mean, I can't say anything bad about them right now. That team's pretty hot, and they're gonna run away with that division. There's no way the Lions are done. The Packers are not. They're not going to compete. That division's done. So Vikings could potentially be a 2 seed. Very potentially could be.
I agree.
With Case Keenum at their quarterback.
I mean, the next 2 games are tough. They're at Atlanta and at Carolina.
Well, that'll tell you right there.
That'll tell you.
If they win those 2 games and go to 11-2,
looking good. Yep.
Yeah. Looking good. Yeah, looking good.
Speaking of good teams with tests, you got the Eagles next 2 games. They go to Seattle, then they go to the Rams. So you'll find out a little bit about the Eagles as well.
So we got some good games coming up, which is nice to see. Because, once again, yesterday's slate was pretty wasn't juicy at all.
Brutal, not juicy. Pretty dry.
I mean, it was actually pretty awful.
You guys didn't like Cleveland, Cincinnati?
I was actually going to make a joke. I was like, I really want to talk about Cleveland, Cincinnati right now. What do you guys think?
And okay, next game.
But look at this. I mean, you had Bucks, Falcons. You had Browns, Bengals, Titans, Colts, Bills, Chiefs, Patriots, Dolphins. I mean, like these games suck. The only good game yesterday was the Packers, Steelers, and the Saints Rams. There was none of these other games were anything to get excited about. Nothing at all.
Nada.
Mike, and did you guys happen to see the Jacksonville Arizona game? Probably not, right?
I saw some parts of it, a little
Yeah.
bit.
So, Mike, I was thinking of you with this one. It was so funny because it was such a tight game, and Blake Bortles has the Jaguars, driving down the field, trying to get in field goal range for Lambeau, and he throws a pick. Bortles,
Blake, come on,
dude! Like the funniest pick too, because he was just kind of like trying to throw like a quick little laser out, and he throws it right into Tyrann Mathieu's hands. It was so funny.
He sucks. You want to talk about a team that might draft Baker Mayfield? Fucking Jaguars right there. Seriously. He sucks, dude.
What about Arizona, too?
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
Well, it was funny yesterday for a while.
They got Blaine Gabbert.
Yeah, Blaine Gabbert. I mean, yeah. I'm like, how is Blaine Gabbert? How is he freaking torching him right now? And then Mike goes, revenge game. He's like, Blaine Gabbert used to be a Jaguar. And I'm like,
the revenge game.
I forgot about that. I was like,
I wish I thought about that beforehand and maybe would have altered some things strategically that I like to do on Sundays. But yeah, I mean, Gabbert, he hasn't been that bad. Better than Blake Bortles.
God, Blake Bortles is like, he's a joke, dude.
I listen, if you could put me in pads, I never played competitive football in my life. You could put me in pads, and if I actually survived, I could be within 5 points of Blake Bortles' QBR.
But you know what though, Blake Bortles, he probably still did well in daily fantasy because I think he had 2 rushing touchdowns, so he still makes up for it. So he's still he's hanging around. He had 2 rushing touchdowns yesterday.
No, he's the biggest man of all time.
Guys, this has been on my mind, but let's discuss something because I want to see your opinion on this because
discuss.
I think I have a good point here.
Right.
We're looking at some of these teams in the NFC. We said is so crowded with a lot of good teams. And, we see the team like Seattle still in the mix, obviously. And just look at the team they have right now, okay? They got no running game to speak of.
No.
Okay? Their wide receivers are okay, I guess. Jimmy Graham's starting to play a little better. Their defense has been decimated.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Cam Chancellor and losing Sherman. How is Russell Wilson not an MVP candidate?
I knew you were going to say that.
How is he not?
You were going with this, Ryan.
He's carrying this damn team.
I think he is.
He's good. I like him too. He's probably the only Seahawk that I like.
Well,
yeah, I'm with you with that one.
I like him.
I'll always love Eddie Lacy.
Yeah,
but he's not really a Seahawk.
Russell Wilson,
he's terrible.
Just a lot of respect. I think he's just a really, really good player. Like, regardless if I hate his team, I can't ever say I hate Russell Wilson. I think he's just a really good player. So
he's tough.
He's tough. Yeah,
he's smart. He's their entire running game,
and his scrambling ability is ridiculous.
It's the best in the league easily.
He's their entire running game. He's it. And he can win big games. Now he's never had to carry a team because they've had an all-world defense for the entire tenure there, but he doesn't anymore. And like you said, the injuries on the back end, like they did get Thomas back, but now they lose Chancellor for the year. Sherman's out for the year. They can't stop the run.
They've been giving up points this year. I mean, remember that Houston-Seattle game, that shootout, and they still found a way to win that game
because of Russell Wilson.
Yeah. Now hear me out here too, because I'm looking at their schedule. If he gets them to the playoffs, I will be amazed, and that would shoot him up this MVP case. They play the Eagles, then they go to Jacksonville, tough defense.
Yep.
And they play the Rams.
Yep.
At home. And then they're home against Dallas, which I think they get Zeke back for that one.
Yes.
And they finish off with the Cardinals, and it's a division game. You know what happens in division games.
That's
a tough schedule.
The Cardinals are probably the easiest game in there, and that's not even like that easy of a game.
No, and that is a tough schedule. If he gets them to the playoffs with this crowded, tough NFC, oh man.
He's definitely going to get votes. I mean,
well, they're tied right now for the last spot with Atlanta, 7-4. So, but really quick, hear me out on this. I mean, Philadelphia being so good this year, I mean, it's kind of hard to not have Carson Wentz up there for MVP. He's
of course.
Oh yeah, he'll.
And I don't want to give it to an Eagle, but it's if the Eagles go 14-2. and the way he's been playing in every game, it's really hard not to give him MVP. It's very hard.
I agree 100%, my man.
Which, because
you could give the MVP to Aaron Rodgers. I'm not kidding.
Well, no,
you see how valuable he really is.
Yeah,
so
and maybe Zeke Elliott too.
Yeah.
Just as long as it's not Tom Brady, I'm cool with it. All right.
They'll probably give it to him because
Yeah, but you know what though? They shouldn't though, because Brady's really good, but he's not playing on a team with a bunch of shitty players. Okay.
Yo, schmoes.
Dude, I'll bet their running game's kind of like, by committee, but they're still pretty good players. And it doesn't matter. They all seem to like Rex Burkhead, Dion Lewis, Gillislee. Who's the other clown?
James White.
I mean, they're nothing special, but every game one of them steps up or has a good game. I can't do Brady. I'm sorry, not this year. Not this year, Tom Brady. You've gotten enough awards. Let's the guys that have done better, or at least that deserve it more, I believe.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see who gets it. But it's just something that I've been thinking about, and just watching him.
You just give it to the Saints running back core.
Yeah,
they've been good. I mean, they got Ingram got shut down.
No, it's okay. Kamara just that guy's amazing, dude.
Oh my God, he does it all.
I told Mike yesterday I've been taking him in daily fantasy for the last month, and I refuse to. I'm going to keep taking him until he lays a dud, because he's gotten me 20 to 30 points the last 4 weeks. So I'm not going to go off on taking him. So if you're listening, people, Alvin Kamara until he lays a dud.
The day I die.
Until the day I die. Because
I
don't care if he goes to 10,000.
Yeah, he's creeping up the price. This week he's 85.
So. He was 80. I took him at 81, and I don't regret it one bit. Even though I didn't win any money yesterday, but I don't care. He was the bright spot of my team.
He's up to 85 million. Take him.
Yeah. 60,000. My whole team.
He'll be in the nines the next week.
Yeah.
Love that guy, man.
He's good, man. He's good. And that's
Alvin and the Chipmunks.
That's why that team's been so good as well, is that two-headed running back situation they got over there.
You know what's crazy? I just realized this, and I don't know why I didn't realize it. But does the Steelers feel like a 9-2 team to you?
No,
the last 2 games they did.
Yeah.
The games before that, I was been saying it. They just didn't seem like a 7-2 team, but now they're starting to look like it. And I mean, the only 2 teams you can really trust right now in the AFC are them and the Patriots. Who else is there?
Look at this, dude. This AFC picture. I'm looking at this, and it's it just looks like the top 6 teams that are in the playoffs right now. If the playoffs would start today, are Pittsburgh, New England at the 1-2. Then you have the Titans at 7-4, which that team being a 7-4 team, that's another story, because that team to me is
I don't think they're that good.
No. Then you got Kansas City at 6-5, and then the 2 wildcard teams are Jacksonville and Buffalo.
Put it this way. If it's not New England, Pittsburgh in the championship game, I'd be shocked.
Yeah, and I bitched about that earlier in the year, saying I wanted to see some different teams in there. But I mean, the way this is looking right now.
Now listen, this is curious, because they play in 3 weeks, and the Steelers are 9-2, and you guys know the only way to beat the Patriots in an AFC championship game is fucking get them out of Foxborough.
Yeah,
Pittsburgh has to have home field advantage for that championship game if they want to go to the Super Bowl. So that game in 3 weeks is essentially the AFC championship game. In reality, it very well could be, because the winner of that could get home field.
Oh yeah.
If they win the games they should. I don't know their exact schedules, but it could play out that way. So it's a massive game.
I think it's pretty set in the NFC how you have the top 7 teams, and then there's going to be those 3 teams fighting for that last playoff spot between Carolina, Atlanta, and Seattle. I think Detroit will fizzle out. I don't think they'll be there, and I think that I don't have faith in Green Bay, Dallas, Washington, even Arizona's 5-6. I didn't even know they were actually 5-6, but I think that's the way it's going to go. But the AFC, dude. The 7 through 10 teams are Baltimore, Cincinnati, Chargers, and Oakland at 5-6. It's actually amazing. The Bengals are 5-6. That team to me sucks. And I think they suck. And honestly, like, and when Joe Mixon did have a great game yesterday, by the way, and it's nice to see Joe Mixon finally out. So that was great.
Mike, you enjoyed that.
Very nice.
But I'm looking at, and like the Ravens too. Fuck Baltimore. Like I think they suck too. Like, and I don't even think Buffalo's that good. Like, it's crazy. Like, you got Pittsburgh, New England, and then there's just everyone else. And the only team I see in here right now, because they're playing so hot, are the LA Chargers. And I hope they make a run, because honestly, I think all these other teams basically blow. Jacksonville could be good if they ever had a good quarterback, but they're never going anywhere with Blake Bortles, so you could just write them off. Kansas City to me is the biggest head scratcher in the league right now. I don't understand how you could be that good and then just suck. I don't get that.
They did a total 180.
They had the Jets this week.
They have the Jets, and well, hey, the Jets are no slouch, man.
Right. It's
really crazy.
Interesting game.
You know, if a couple games go different for the Jets, because I know they lost a couple tough games. Dude, they could be in that last playoff spot right now at 6-5. Or it's crazy. Like,
oh yeah.
I mean, these teams. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's just this AFC to me is just so weird. It just teams like I'm sorry, like Tennessee being 7-4 mentioned before, but I don't even think they're that good.
They're not. They're
weird. Shit yesterday. They're lucky to even win that game.
It'll be cool for the wild card weekend in the AFC, because you'll see some kind of new teams and you'll see some fun matchups that you don't really see.
And then
the winners are going to go to Pittsburgh and New England. It's going to be.
And then I think the NFC, you're just going to see great games all around. I think all these teams, Philadelphia, Minnesota, Rams, Saints, Carolina, Atlanta, Seattle, like whoever gets it, all those teams I think are really good. And I think you're going to see great games. And I think the NFC is going to be really fun to watch this year.
Yeah, I agree, guys. I mean, we were complaining, which, it was warranted. We were complaining how rough the games were in the beginning of the season.
They're still rough, but they're getting a little better.
They are, but I think it's starting to play itself out, and we're getting closer to playoff time, and these games become more crucial. So they're gonna be more of a nail biter type game, and it's gonna be fun. And a lot of these games coming up are really good. Like we said, the Eagles, Seahawks this week, 3 weeks, Pittsburgh, New England. So a lot of these games are coming to fruition. And like you said, Dave, it's gonna be a fun watch in the NFC, definitely. And even those wild card teams in the AFC, it's gonna be a fun bout once we get to the playoffs. And we know NFL playoffs are fun to watch, guys. They are so much fun to watch.
And I wouldn't be
teams not in it.
I wouldn't be surprised to see some of these games shift to prime time, because they now have that flex. They can shift games out. And like, don't be. I mean, I would be shocked if you didn't see Patriots Steelers being like the 8:30 game on Sunday night or something like that. So it should be, it should be fun. And you'll get the prime time games with some of these, So that's pretty cool too. So
definitely. Yeah. So, it's rounding itself out, and football's here, and it's going to get fun. It's going to get fun. Still plenty of weeks to go, though. It seems like it had a full head of steam in the beginning, and it was going quick. Now it's starting to slow down. Things are starting to shape up, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun. And the good thing is, Dave, I don't know how you feel, but for me, I'm already out of that mode where I'm pissed off at the Giants, because we've been out of it for so long. We finally get eliminated, truly, yesterday, which was whatever. But I've been out of it so long that I'm not upset to the fact where I'm getting so pissed every week when we lose. It is what it is now.
No, I'm honestly at the point I'm just trying to watch good football at this point.
Right.
I'm kind of, the Giants are kind of just they're out of my head almost. They're just, and at this point, and I said it the other day, and I know this sounds terrible, I just want them to lose. Just lose. Get a good draft pick. To me, there's really nothing better than getting a top 5 pick right now. So I honestly don't even care I didn't even care if they lost tonight. I mean, I want them to win. I mean, I don't want people to get the wrong idea at this. I want
just play hard, though.
Play hard, yes. I don't want them to quit, yes. But when they lose, I'm not even disappointed at this point, because I know that there's some prize at the end of the tunnel with possibly a top pick. So, and you're not playing for anything else this season.
No.
The season's done. Like, you're not playing for any position. You're not fighting for any playoff spots. It's over. So really, if they win a few games here and there, good. It's nice to just get some moral victories. But if you lose and go 2-14, I don't care either.
is what it is, right? And Mike, I mean, your team's just you're hanging by a thread right now. It's kind of evident, but and it's something that you haven't been used to lately. If you don't make the playoffs, so it's gonna be a little different.
It's been a while, but it's kind of what I geared myself towards. Once he goes down,
yeah,
you kind of you don't expect it, but you prepare yourself. And like I said, they have a snowball's chance in hell, but have, I guess, the dictionary definition of a chance, but I know the reality.
Exactly.
Well, I just enjoy watching the Cowboys completely suck, so that's pretty awesome.
That's always good.
Oh, it's the best. It's the best. They've crumbled too. I think they've been outscored the last couple of games, like 99-20 something. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, they've lost by like 20 plus the last 3 games.
It's the best thing I've ever watched. It really is.
Can't miss TV.
Can't miss TV. Can't miss TV. Well, no basketball tonight, guys, because our boy Stanley is not here, so he's not here to give us the insight because I don't know much other than like FanDuel stuff. But
you know what I know.
What do you know?
Porzingis is the greatest basketball player to ever walk the earth.
I know what I know, and I know that as of right now, hold on, I'll tell you right now. Yeah, no, give me a second. I don't know what's going on here. Freaking thing is so annoying. Here we go.
Go.
Yeah, the Knicks are. Oh, they actually made a little comeback, but they're about.
They were getting murdered.
Yeah, they were getting murdered by Portland, but they're down by 10 with a minute 24. That game's over.
Just the Knicks being the Knicks, baby.
And I'm sorry, Rye, for your Celtics, but the Detroit Pistons took you guys down tonight, which
wow,
too happy about that. But yes, Detroit put almost 120 points.
Terrible job. Bro.
Wow,
embarrassing.
Yeah. Dude, Andre Drummond, by the way, who I didn't take, of course, because he had an amazing game because I didn't take him. He had 22 rebounds, 26 points, 4 steals, and 6 assists on the side.
22 rebounds.
26 and 22.
That's embarrassing, Celtics.
Al Horford got his ass kicked tonight.
Horford. That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
All right, good basketball report, guys.
Yeah, embarrassing. Your Celtics, not that good, Stanley. Not that good.
Embarrassing. You need Porzingis, but you can't have him.
70 FanDuel points by Drummond.
Yeah.
Jesus. Embarrassing. Embarrassing.
Well,
right,
I think
I'm done getting on Stanley, ripping on it.
All right, how about New York Rangers?
How about those New York Rangers? 13-9 and 228 points. 4 in a row, 10 out of the last 12. What do you think, Mike?
Well, I think it's playing the Cup Parade. We're playing it now. No, I'm just kidding. That's ridiculous. Listen, I got to watch not most of the game yesterday, but like Dave mentioned before we went on air, I believe we got to watch. We kind of gave up on some of the 1 o'clock games in the football, so we switched over. We got to watch the end of the game, the overtime, the shootout. I'm an old school guy, but the 3-on-3 overtime is just crazy fun. It really is. It's like
I love it.
It's a goal waiting to happen. It's like, and I think it works because it's wide open, so you get a ton of chances. But if you don't keep those shifts really short, guys get dead tired, and it can kind of drag. But it's not like a goal fest where every overtime ends in 45 seconds. So it works. You still have some shootouts, and they got to the shootout. Jimmy buries one to end it, and we were watching the shootout, and Dave was like, "Man, this is a pretty long shootout." And I said, "Yeah, it's no Marek Malik shootout, that famous one against the Capitals when it went 12."
Oh, it's crazy.
14 rounds, and Malik, the dipsy-do between the legs, a big doofy defenseman, still the funniest thing I've ever seen. What I found out, Dave actually just stepped out of the room. He's not going to hear me say this. What I found out, same day, it was like, I forget what year that was, 2004, 05.
Yeah.
So let's say like 12, 13 years ago, to the day of that shootout.
Wow.
Was yesterday. Same date in history. So that was a little fun fact. But Yeah, be a good up and coming Vancouver team. And listen, we said it all along. The Rangers, we still have the roster to beat anybody. And I chalk it up to just trying to find the right guys to gel in the right roles, and Vigneault trying to his best move at this point is just stay out of the way as much as you can. Just don't micromanage. Let the talent play, and there's no reason why we can't contend like we do every year.
And we will. And I think we will. We're going to stay up there. We got that second wild card right now. I know it's kind of early to think about that, but just got to keep chugging along. See, my thing is it's the same old Ranger team in a good way. It's role players. It's a different guy every time. And that's how we've been the past couple of years. And Mike, my thing about this team getting over the hump. They don't have a superstar, and they still do not. And it's going to be the same. It's going to be the same ending. And I hate to be that negative, but I can't see the teams that win have a superstar. Look at Pittsburgh the last couple of years. They won twice. They have two superstars in Crosby and Malkin. Okay. Look at the Chicago Blackhawks, Kane, Taves. I mean, those are superstars. We don't have them. We don't have those 40 goal scorers, even though Nash did it that one year. We don't have those guys. And it still bothers me. So, I mean, if we're in the mix again, what do we do? What do we do at the deadline?
Well, I mean, we're always, I would say we've been weird. Gorton's been weird, and there's been a disconnect. We've talked about it between him and Vigneault. They're making win now moves, and then they're making kind of moves for the future.
Yeah.
A la trading Stepan, but then they bring in Chat and Kirk. So it's kind of weird things that don't kind of make sense as a whole. So the deadline could be interesting. I mean, obviously, we should be in the mix. Buyers. So, yeah, you would think we'd end up being buyers. But who and for what, I think is the – now, maybe they're thinking that they trade Stepan because obviously he did make too much money, and I love Stepan, but couldn't pay him that much anymore. Mm. And the assets we get could be flipped. I mean, that could kind of have been their plan the whole time. But the problem is, we do have a superstar that gets paid superstar money, and he's viewed in the league kind of as a superstar. He has his haters and his detractors, and sometimes they're Ranger fans, but it's Lundqvist. He gets paid superstar money, and he has carried us pretty far in the past, but he hasn't been able to carry us the whole way. So with him in net, which until he's given up 5 every single game, I'll never give up on Lundqvist and always believe that he has the best chance to gives us the best chance to win. I don't think you're going to see like enough money to afford a 40, 45, 50 goal score or something like that.
You're right.
So it's weird where your goalie is kind of your meal ticket, and for the foreseeable future, I think it's going to be that way. But now you mentioned all these role players, and it's how we're built, and that can work. I mean, the Kings have won cups. Name me a superstar on the Kings. You had Kopitar, and you had Drew Doughty.
Yeah.
And, but superstar?
Yeah, no, you're right.
No, but who is their best player down the stretch for them every single run they make? It's Jonathan Quick.
Quick's a monster.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a recipe there that can work, but like you said, we've seen this movie. We've seen the same ending to this movie a lot.
Yeah.
Conference finals, the one cup final, it's just too early of an exit because we can't score enough, or Lundqvist gives up 1 or 2 shaky goals at the wrong time, and we're out. So, hockey playoffs can be weird. You need a lot of luck. We haven't had it. So, I don't see us doing much at the deadline. I don't think we have to. Obviously, months away.
Yeah, it's a while.
This is our, too early prediction report, obviously, but Gorton's done okay. I think this year is big for him and Vigneault, because remember 2 weeks ago we were talking about Vigneault getting fired, so it's not like his seat is entirely cooled down. I think that lasts all year, into the off season, in terms of this team is still expected to win a cup.
Mm-hmm.
So I think everyone's definitely going to be motivated to do it, especially him if he wants to keep his job potentially. So it's always interesting in New York, but at least they're playing good hockey now. One of the hottest teams in the league, and it's always better to win than to lose.
Exactly. Just keep playing well. Let's stay healthy, and Lundqvist keep doing what he's doing, and we're going to be there. We will be there. I have very positive vibes coming from this team. Just watching the last couple of games, and a game like yesterday's, when it looked like they were not going to win that game. They come back.
Tied in the third.
Tied in the third and win it in the shootout. So I mean, it's nice to see. You got to win those games, and they're winning a lot of games lately. 10 out of the last 12, like I mentioned, and just stay hot, keep winning, stay healthy, and we're going to be there. I totally agree. We're going to be there. So it's good to see, and we'll be back with a Rangers report again, probably next week. See what the state of that team is. Boys, before we sign off, we got any last words?
Well, let's I'm going to really dig into the FanDuel this week before our next podcast to really, really make sure I give horrible picks. Because I can give horrible picks with the best of them, but I need good evidence to back it up. I already love, let's say, Richard Rodgers this week. Let me see who else. I don't know. I mean, we didn't get to do picks this past week. That's partially my fault. I know we had a holiday week, so it was a little tough. I was supposed to tweet out picks. I apologize, never got to it. Now in my Pick'em league, I went 12-3.
Cute.
Now, and I would always take 3 of those picks from my 3 favorite, obviously from those picks, and put them on the show. Knowing my luck, it'd be the 3 games I got wrong. Which I can't really remember all of them. I know I had the Saints, which I lost, but I had a pretty good week with the picks, but didn't count because I didn't tweet them out. So we'll move on to next week with that. So
good.
What are you gonna do,
David? It's good being on here tonight.
Yeah, I had a great time. I don't really have much else. I mean, just hoping for some really good football down the stretch. That's what I'm looking forward to the next month or two. Some excellent good football. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Well, boys, after a little holiday hiatus, we'll finish this episode 33, Holiday Sports Roundup. That's what I called it.
I like it.
It's a little roundup from the holiday. Make sure, guys, you check us out on all our social platforms, please. Twitter's a big one, @TheAngryHacks. Tweet us. We're gonna start putting some more things on there. Maybe we'll start putting all our picks on there every week if we make them.
Yes.
So check them out. Maybe even we'll tweet some of our FanDuel stuff. But Mike, I'm with you. I'm gonna dive deep into that and try to give some good insight on the picks. But also, please check us out on YouTube. We're usually live when we do our podcasts. YouTube and SoundCloud, and of course iTunes. Download some of our content, and please give us a review. Give us a good one, give us a bad one. I don't care. Just give us a review. Tell us what you like, what you don't like.
Give us a horrible, scathing review if you want.
Scathing.
I would probably.
I would. I'd give us a great review. 5 stars. 5-star podcast. All right, boys. For Michael Hall, David Crudy, this is Nunzi signing off, and we'll see you soon.